You know how sometimes things line up?
Yeah.
You know, like coincidences. Since we've been here, they've been happening more and more. I feel like it means like she's getting closer.
Who? The mirror girl?
You don't believe me.
I do. I do. I'm processing. Okay? I just can't believe you kept all this inside for so long. You know I'm here, right?
And that's a clip from Us, and I'm delighted to say that its writer and director is Jordan Peele, and he joins us just as the door is closing. Hello, Jordan. How are you, sir?
Hello. I just came in and shut the door behind me.
It's good. A nice bit of radio sound effects. That's what that was.
Some Foley action for you.
We appreciate you being on the show. Tell us, okay, this is going to be one of those films, occasionally we get to films where we have to tentatively talk around the story. So I think the easiest thing is for you to set up the premise of the film, and then we'll take it from there.
This is a story that takes place on the west coast of America. This is a California story. A woman named Adelaide, played by Lupita Nyong'o, has a traumatic incident as a child, a very frightening thing she sees, basically. We open up in the 80s, and we basically cut to her in present day, and now she has a family, and she's traveling back to the location of her trauma, and it has come back to haunt her. And the trauma has brought its family. And this is the teaser premise for us.
Yes. Okay, so I always think if it's in the first kind of reel, then maybe we can talk about it. So can you explain a little bit more about this trauma? What is it that the child Lupita sees when she's off on this family holiday?
Well, I don't want to spoil the initial image just because it's nice and creepy, but I will go as far as the trailer goes and to say that she and her family are confronted by a family of doppelgangers. So another version, a scary version of them is outside of their door, and what commences is a harrowing invasion, and from there we go to some pretty wild places.
Where did the idea of having a doppelganger as the kind of the heart of a film, where did that idea come from?
Yeah, I've always been terrified of the idea of the doppelganger. I think I was initially influenced by the Twilight Zone episode Mirror Image, in which a woman sees another version of herself at a bus stop, and it just stuck with me, and it was creepy. As a kid growing up in New York, I would picture myself across the subway platform. So, a couple of years ago, I was thinking about that and why that was such a primal vision and image for me, and I did research on doppelgangers, and there really is this sense of the shadow self, of that which we suppress psychologically, emotionally, and our demons essentially being embodied by these figures. It's a very universal monster. It appears in many different mythologies in many different ways, but it's almost always a bad omen. At
yes,
least.
yeah, that's certainly true. Again, so I'll couch all these questions in a way that hopefully you find acceptable, obviously, because we don't want to give anything away at all. And it was interesting that you said, I'll go as far as the trailer. With some movies that we've discussed over the previous couple of years, the trailer kind of gives everything away. Fortunately, not true for this movie. Can I ask you about Lupita Nyong'o, who puts in two incredible performances?
Yeah.
When did she get involved in this? Because both her performances are amazing.
I was picturing her when I was writing it. We met at some point. I said, look, I'm kind of thinking about you for something. Just want to lay the groundwork. And, she was very nice. She is a iconic, singular performer. When it came down to the final decision to put her in this movie, I think everybody knows there's only one Lupita Nyong'o. The opportunity of having two of her in one movie just spoke to me as something that was potentially iconic. And what she did in giving her all into, as you said, into both of these roles is very special. It's a very special combination of performer and roles. Admittedly getting lofty in my comparisons here, but it feels like she's delivering Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter in one movie.
Yeah, wow.
She's going full Silence of the Lambs in this.
Wow, I hope that wasn't the way you pitched it to her, Jordan, because that would have frightened even an actor of her capabilities.
You know, it kind of was. And she was like, don't do that to me, Jordan. Don't do that. Please, just like, can we just tiptoe into this thing? But tiptoe, there is a ballet motif in it, so she did tiptoe a little bit, but she really did throw herself into this. And if you can imagine how someone like Lupita prepares for a single role, you can imagine how tricky it must have been for her to, sometimes play two roles in one day.
And around her, you build a family. I think it's worth just mentioning them because they also have to put in some extraordinary performances. Just explain who you built around Lupita.
So Gabe Wilson, the husband character, is played by Winston Duke, who is a charismatic, brilliant actor you would recognize as M'Baku from Black Panther. Yeah. And he really does just this amazing feat of providing this release valve for the tension I take you through. So having seen the movie in the crowd, I can say with confidence that the levity works to great effect. And that's my style, as you know. It's like if I'm going to take the audience through these bits of darkness, I need some bits of lightness to keep them confused at least, and at the most comfortable and having fun. So he's incredible. Shahadi Wright-Joseph is the daughter, Zora. She's a 12-year-old daughter who effectively steals the show, yes. if that's even possible with this cast. Evan Alex is young Jason. He gave me one of these quintessential kids in horror movie performances. And, one of the things that was really important to me here was having a movie with a black family in the center of it, a horror movie with a black family in the center of it, which I hadn't seen before, but also having a movie that's not about race. From my previous work, Get Out is very much about race. This is not, and so in some ways quite liberating for me as a director and the cast as well.
It's interesting that you say that because when I came out of the movie, having had an absolute blast, I should say, and I was a little bit nervous going in because horror isn't my thing, and anyway, I just thought it was a fantastic movie. But to hear you say it's not about race is interesting because I wasn't sure. When I came out, I discussed it a lot with my daughter because I was thinking, is it? I mean, one of the characters spends some time in handcuffs, and I was thinking, is that an image that we're supposed to run with? But now you're saying it's not about race. I'm sort of relaxing a bit.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is, because of what you say. Race is such a loaded conversation. It's natural to walk into a Jordan Peele's sophomore effort looking for the racial allegory. So I like to sort of take that off the table to free us up a little bit. Now, that being said, when you push the boundaries of representation, it almost can't not be about race. So it's no surprise to me that some of these moments have racial connotations, whether we like it or not. And that, to me, is also fascinating and interesting and worthy of conversation.
Can I ask you also about, you mentioned Winston Duke and the importance of his role as a release and that balance of horror and comedy, which is so carefully judged in this film. And I wonder how you set about writing that, because it would be easy, if you get one over the other, then it's not going to work. And it seems to me perfectly balanced, but I just wondered how aware you were of getting that balance right as you were writing it.
My tricky little secret is reality. I try to write towards reality. My favorite comedies and my favorite horror are all grounded. As you can vouch, it's I'm not in this movie nor in Get Out. Am I having characters tell jokes? I'm not going for punchlines. It's really trying to present characters who are acting as real people would, and as these characters we understand and relate to and feel like we know, have them be grounded and real. I think many movies of any specific genre tend to forget the fact that life is all genres. Real life is, there's laughter, there's fear, there's tears, there's cheers or whatever. That's what I do, and I try and make it feel real, and it results with laughs a lot of the time.
Just spooling back to what you were saying about it's not about race, although actually in some way everything is about race. But I wondered, because you have said already that this film is related to Get Out, and you've talked about a wider group of films that you're planning. I wonder if you could explain just a little better about what you're thinking on that.
No, obviously, I've enjoyed many of the theories out there that they're interconnected universe, which I will neither confirm nor deny. But I think what I'm trying to express, and the satire of what I'm trying to express, is involved with the darkness of humanity. And each one of these films that I make, I think, is ultimately exploring the notion that there are evils intrinsic to being human, to the collective experience and the individual one. And I love exploring the horror genre with the understanding that the real monster is us. And so I'm hitting that a bit directly in this one. At the same time, I think the commentary is less direct than Get Out was.
After the amazing success of Get Out, the Oscar-winning success of Get Out, was this always the story that you wanted to tell next, Jordan? I'm sure there were people who were saying, how about just doing the same thing again? But was this always where you were heading?
No, I was always heading towards the next idea. So I would never get stuck in trying to recreate or repeat past successes. And, part of what I do is try to engage in a conversation with the world. So I had to not only listen to my gut and what my personal fears were telling me, but also try to evaluate what they mean in the context of the greater we. And what is a conversation that if I can tap into it, what is the conversation that will explode? So to answer your question, no, it really was this past year I put this together.
Well, in my opinion, it's a stunning success, and we appreciate you spending some time with us, Jordan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.